Greetings, everybody. I am back, finally, after a long hibernation of not doing any album reviews. I will explain to you why that was. Because I was using a flip cam that my amazing brother got me for Christmas a few years back, and that's where I did the high quality video reviews, which from that cam. Eventually, the battery just finally died, and I went all the way to battery shops around Austin, Texas, and could not find one in the store. The only place I could find them is online, and I don't know if I'll even get another one because they're pretty high. Amazon has them. Whether I'll get one or not, I don't know. But I'm going to try this out with my webcam built into my computer. So this is the first album review probably all year. I don't think I did one. I might have done one earlier this year. I can't remember. I remember my last one was the Breeders of Pod. This particular review was by request from my best friend, actually, who lives in Waco. He basically demanded I review this album. I told him I just finally purchased an album from this band after going years without ever having any of their stuff. And I made sure I wanted to get this one because everyone says this is the best album from the band. So my friend Lance Cook, who used to play bass with Crack in the Wall, is on the Lottery single. You might know him as LC. Uh, this review is for him. So Lance Cook, consider yourself honored. The album that I'm going to review, are you ready for it? This album right here, Marillion, Clutching at Straws. This is their 1987 album. This, I would say, marks a very important album because this was the end of an era. For Marillion, this was Fish's last album with the band. And a lot of people say this is the one, if not the one to start with, definitely one to get, essential. Even YouTuber Darren Locke reviewed this album. And, I'd have to say I didn't agree with everything he said. I just rewatched his review again for the second time. The first time I watched it, I saw the review without owning the album. And now I own the album and had a chance to listen to it, and I can, figure out these songs. And I watched it again, and I still don't agree with them. But that's okay, because you don't want every review to be the same on YouTube. So I'm going to stop rambling, and I'm going to get to the album. To start off with, this is a concept album, which shouldn't surprise Lance Cook or anybody who's familiar with Marillion or that kind of neo-progressive or this prog rock genre. This is a story about a man named Torch who is an alcoholic loser, SOB, who blames everybody and the world on his problems. Blames everybody but himself. So this is kind of a dark, if you will, album. But it starts off with Hotel Hobbies as number one. And it's got this little keyboard part. It's real quiet when it first starts off. It's very mellow, very quiet. And then, you hear Fish very faintly singing. And then eventually it all kicks in, and then the music gets louder, and you can hear it. It's a pop song, basically. This is a pretty upbeat pop song. The album starts off very poppy. Then it goes into Warm Wet Circles. This one is also another one that I think is a strong song on here. It's a pretty slow one, but it takes it down a little bit tempo wise. This is another strong one from the album, Warm Wet Circles, which I'm not certain, but I think was one of the singles from the album. So definitely another keeper on here. And then we go to the third one, which is That Time of Night. And one thing I will mention is songs 1 through 3 all merge into each other without a break. Kind of like what you think you're going to hear all the songs do that, but like what the Dark Side of the Moon was like that. But anyway, That Time of Night is actually kind of a fierce song. I like it. This one's really good. It's clutching the short straw. Feels like a song out of desperation or need, wants. I'll be honest with you, I haven't completely analyzed all these lyrics, but the music has hit me. Some of Fish's lyric writing is a little complex. Not that I don't like it, because I think it's great. It's just some of it's kind of hard to understand. But with the first three songs, Hotel Hobbies, Warm Wet Circles, and That Time of Night, they all feel like some kind of a suite that all goes into each other. And then after that, we've got Going Under. And I absolutely love this song. This is one of my favorite songs. It's guitar and keyboards and a little bit of bass and Fish singing. To me, this song reminds me so much of Entangled by Genesis from A Trick of the Tail. This is a great, great song. One of my favorites. I love this one. I know Darren Locke, I probably shouldn't name drop here, but he thought it was out of place. I don't see it that way. I think this is, as much as I like the first three, it's good that we go through another direction on the fourth one to give it more variety. I like variety, so that's just my take on it. So Going Under is great. Just for the record, it's very kind of upbeat and kind of a somewhat happy. Not. It sounds kind of cheery, even though there's nothing on this album. This is not like a cheery concept by any means, but the way that the instruments are playing, the musicians are doing their instruments, and Fish's vocal delivery sounds very upbeat. So this is probably the most upbeat song on the whole album. You know, White Russian is somewhat of an aggressive one. Fish delivers kind of an aggressive vocal delivery on White Russian. I really like this one. This is a good song. The drumming on this by Ian, I like some of his drum patterns during the chorus that he's doing. You'll definitely look this one up on YouTube. I'd say White Russian. This is one you definitely have got to hear. Then we come to the huge hit from the album, Incommunicado. This is, I will say, this does sound pretty 80s. Actually, parts of this album sound pretty 80s at times. But this is actually a really great song. I like it. It's a fist-pumping song, basically. The drums are like, and all the instruments are playing. It's a song I don't work out by any means, but this is definitely a good working out song. You burn calories to this. So Incommunicado, this one's excellent. This is a great, great, great song. Love this one. Then we go to Torch Song, which is takes it down, goes slower. This is a very slow tempo song. Another one of my favorites. I really like the vocal delivery. I like that line. We burn a little brighter now. There's references to Jack Kerouac in this song, and actually he's one of the characters on the album cover. Torch Song, love this one. This is a killer, killer song. This is really great. After that, it siegs, if that's even a word, but it plays into another song, which I'm probably pronouncing completely horribly, called Slant. Slante Mehath. I don't know how you pronounce that or what that means, which is pretty cool. It kind of sounds like a post-cursor Torch song. It's like in the same tempo, and in some ways it kind of sounds like part two, maybe. I mean, doesn't sound exactly like the song, but the tempo is the same, you know, and it's pretty good. I don't think it holds up as strongly as Torch Song does or some of these other ones, but it's not a bad song. And then, number 10, ladies and gentlemen, the reason why I bought this album. We get to the beautiful. This was the only song I'd heard from the album before I bought it. We get to the amazing, beautiful, beautiful Sugar Mice. Before I had this album, I watched the music video for this on YouTube over and over again because I loved the song. The video is great too. Watch this video on YouTube. Darren Locke said he did not care for this song. I was shocked because I think this is a great song. This is the reason why I bought the album, for this one song alone. There are other great songs on this album, but this one definitely needs to be talked about. Sugar Mice is a classic. This is a great, great Marillion song. This is some of Fish's best songwriting. I actually like the lyrics quite a bit on this. I think the lyrics are some of his best. The guitar solo by Rothery is amazing. I love that guitar solo. I even showed this to some people. I showed this to a friend at work, and he loved the guitar solo too. So, Sugar Mice, all I'm going to say is great. Listen to Sugar Mice, watch the music video on YouTube, decide for yourself if it's a good song or not. I think it's great. I think it's amazing. We end the album, the concept of the story, with The Last Straw. It comes in with Ian Mosley's drums. He starts it off. Everyone comes in. You hear Mark Kelly's piano playing, Rothery's guitar, and then Fish delivers this vocal performance, which is just like kind of aggressive, but kind of taking a step back at the same time. I don't know, but his vocal delivery is great, and I like the song. Some people thought it didn't end the album well. I think that ends it perfectly. And at the very end of the song, there's some female backing singers that sound great. It does sound a little 80s. It does have an 80s sound to it. But hey, that's okay because I'm from the 80s, so I can appreciate stuff like that. I remember the 80s pretty well. So The Last Straw is definitely, I think it's a good way to end the album. Song-wise, it's really good. It's another hit on the album for me. So that ends the album. Actually, we have Happy Ending, which is not really a track. It's just at the end of The Last Straw, you have to crank it up a little bit because it's pretty quiet. Or at least on my copy of the CD it is. You hear Fish yelling, "No!" And then you hear this echoed laughter. That's the end of the album. What that had to do with, I don't know. But that's Clutching at Straws for you and my review. This video is dedicated to LC. And now it's time to give it a grade. I definitely think this is a very strong album. Some people say it's probably the best Marillion album, at least with Fish. To be honest with you, I say don't even bother with anything after this. When Fish left the band, in my opinion, Marillion died. They've got a joker after this named Steve Hogarth. Some people call him H. Ruined the band. Completely ruined the band. I do not like Steve Hogarth at all. I don't like one thing, didn't like a single thing that he did. I cannot listen to anything past this album. But this album, again, you got albums like this. This was a good album too. I'm going to try to get to this one next or sometime if I can have time out of my busy schedule. This is where it all started album-wise for the band. So, and also it's another album that Darren Locke reviewed, and he recommended these two in the Marillion Primer. Darren Locke loves the Hogarth era. Can't stand it. But you shouldn't listen to me. You should listen to a Hogarth album and decide for yourself if that's worth getting or not. So, out of my rambling, I'm going to give Clutching at Straws a grade. I'm going to give this a solid A. I think this is a great, strong album. It's a good way to end the band. Or when Fish left, it's definitely a good, solid end of an era. Clutching at Straws gets an A. Definitely get this. And not to jump ahead, this is also worth checking out. I'm going to get to this in a later review. This one's called Script for a Jester's Tear. I got both of these at Waterloo Records. They were both $6. So, there you go. It's my first Marillion review, my first review in a long time, maybe all year. It gets an A, Clutching at Straws. If you're going to start with Marillion, I'm not saying don't listen to the Hogarth stuff, but please start with Fish, because I started with the Hogarth stuff and hated Marillion for the longest time. I just realized I was listening to the wrong era. So there's my review. I hope to do some more later on. Maybe if I have more free time, I'll get to another one today. Who knows? Alright, there's your review, LC. I'll see you later.